Good evening. Welcome to the regular ZBA meeting for Thursday, October 3rd, 2024. First item up for business is the call to order, and the second item is the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up is roll call. Mr. DeBruno, if you can please take the roll.
Mr. DeCoster.
Here
Mr. DeBruin is here. Mr. Piper.
Here.
Mr. Mazzara.
Here.
Mr. Tuckfield.
Is excused absence tonight.
And in his absence, Mr. Gamikia.
Present.
Thank you. Next up is to address any conflicts of interest with tonight's items. Again, we'll have Mr. DeBruin call the roll. Please indicate yes or no.
Mr. DeCoster.
No.
Mr. Piper.
No.
Mr. Mazzara.
Nope.
Mr. Gamikia.
No.
And I have none.
Thank you.
Mr.
Yep.
Chairman,
Yes.
I know the board knows this, but for the public, the Macomb Township Zoning Board of Appeals has a variety of alternate candidates that can serve and fill in as necessary to ensure a timely hearing of appeals when a member cannot attend. Although I was not present at the meeting from which item 7A tonight was tabled, I have reviewed all the pertinent information from the Zoning Board of Appeals packet from that meeting, as well as the video of the August 1st meeting at which this item was originally discussed.
Thank you for that. Moving on is the approval of the agenda. Do we have any comments or motions on approval of the agenda?
Motion to approve the agenda.
I will second that.
Motion by Mr. Mazzara, second by Mr. Piper. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against by saying nay. That item passes. Next up is the approval of the previous meeting minutes. Is there any comments or motions on that?
Motion to approve the meeting minutes as written.
Motion by Mr. Mazzara, is there a second? Second by Mr. DeBruin. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against by saying nay. That motion passes as well. Next up is old business. Tonight we have two items. First up is item 7A, which is a variance to section 10.0311EF2. This is a request of a variance to allow a patio with a side setback of 5 feet 10 inches when 7 foot 6 inches is required. If the petitioner is in the audience, please step forward. State your, you can sit down in the middle, I believe.
Okay.
If you can state your name and address for the record. Actually, Josh, if you want to take us to this first. Sorry about that.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman and Board. All of you are familiar with this. As Mr. Gamikia indicated, this was on an agenda previously, and you heard much of this information then. They have a patio that's in place that they are seeking a variance for to keep. It is currently constructed in the side yard with only a setback of 5 feet 10 inches when 7 feet 6 inches is required. So the total reduction, should this be approved, would be 1 foot 8 inches or 20 inches in total. Again, the patio's been constructed already, as you see in these images, and the Code of Ordinance requires a 7.5 foot setback, which they are currently 20 inches short of. We do have what you see here, a copy of the plot plan that was turned in for their application. Again, showing that they were aware that the side yard setback requirement was 7.5 feet. The patio is again currently 1 feet 8 inches into that side yard setback. Our departments looked at this, assessing had no objection. Building indicated that the reduction as requested does not create any building code issues. Engineering, the side yard reduction would provide ample room for proper drainage and does not interfere with the existing utility easement. Therefore, no engineering related concerns are posed. Fire and Public Works had no comments or no issues. Melissa in my department indicated that it does not appear that there are any unique physical characteristics of the property that render conformance with the ordinance unnecessarily burdensome. It is a very standard 70 by 120 rectangular lot. There's no easements, there's no drains, there's no floodplain, anything like that that would render it a unique situation. So therefore, it appears that a grant of a variance would provide the applicant with a greater relief than other property owners in the same district. Again, we would defer that the applicant may provide more information regarding how this would still meet the spirit of the ordinance. That being said, I wanted to walk you through some of the timeline of events. I know this was asked from the last meeting. So May 16th of 2023, an application was filled out and left with the township for a brick paver patio. ZLM was the contractor, was the official applicant of that. So as you see here, this is a copy of the applicant. You see the date, and you see that ZLM Services was the contractor and the applicant for this. Between May 16th, when it was dropped off, and May 20th, there were phone conversations back and forth, and it was indicated to them that they were violating the rear yard, actually, setback based on the drawings that they submitted, and it would be updated. And the inspector Len is who was communicating with them, and at that time the application was updated. So again, you see the call out that the patio needed to be 20 feet minimum from the rear lot line. If you see my cursor here, Len updated that for them from 24 feet to 20 feet so that they would have that when they picked up their application or their permit. But as you see in the drawing, it's in line with the house, so it wasn't called out that there was a violation for the side yard because it didn't show that it was going to go into the side yard. So had it been built according to plan, that we wouldn't be here this evening. So the application was finalized, as you see here. Again, Len has signed it. The date is 5/20/23, and the applicant was notified that the permit was ready to be picked up at that time. Fast forward to February, and I think Mr. Maples, who's here this evening, can attest to this. Sometimes the building department slows down in the winter months, and they start to look at permits that have expired that have been sitting there. This being one of them, they reached out asking what's the status. At that time, ZLM came in and officially paid for the permit and picked it up. Typically, you don't do the work until after you've picked up your permit, so these type of issues don't arise. Had they picked this up before they completed the work, you'd see what's highlighted here, that it states a minimum of 7.5 feet patio from the side lot line. It also talks about the minimum of 20 feet from the rear lot line. These are just standard language that's on all of these, but they would have seen that. So since the work was already done, they asked for a final inspection, and it was done the very next day, which was rejected, which started the process of why we're here this evening. Now what you have in front of you, you see an email from the applicant who's here this evening requesting that this be tabled again. You also have an email of my response to him that the township is comfortable with where we're at. We don't feel that there's a need to table this. He did indicate in his voicemail that the reason for the tabling is that he's getting a survey completed, and he would like that information before you render your decision. That being said, I want to show here we have the plot plans for the two neighboring pieces. Their residence is the one on the left and the neighbor to the right. These were done at two different times for two different builders, and all of the common points are identical. And so therefore we're very confident that this 7 3/4 feet distance from the side of the house to the side property line is accurate. That being said, should their survey come back and come up with a different number, they would then have a different number to come before the ZBA with, because it would be a different dimensional request. So again, that being said, staff is comfortable moving forward, but that would be up to you, your purview to choose to table or to move forward at this time. And with that, again, as I said before, staff cannot support this as we could not find a practical difficulty.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Box this time from the board? All right, hearing none, like I said, if the petitioner can please say your name and address for the record and take us through your comments.
Do I have to push this?
Is the green light on?
Okay.
You should be fine.
I'm Gary Genernellik. I'm the attorney for the property owners. Well, I was recently retained to help them in this matter. We've been in contact with the survey company. They said it would be done in about 2 weeks. So we had communicated with the township department, asking that it be tabled. And I had a conversation yesterday with Ben Aloya concerning the same. So our request is to table it to your November 7th, 2024 meeting so that we have that accurate drawing. And in the alternative, if you decide not to table it, then we would withdraw our petition at this time and resubmit once we have the updated survey. And I don't think there's any hardship to the township of tabling it. There's not a critical, dangerous situation that would be imposed on the public. It's a private backyard patio. I've been there. When you come out the back door, the patio, the way it's configured, and the steps down seem to me to be done in a safe manner so that when people come out, they can turn. They have a wide step to step down to the grassy area. So we would ask that you table it, and if you're not of a mind to table it, then we would withdraw our petition with the ZBA and resubmit once we have the survey.
Thank you.
And then Josh indicated that they had that submission to you as to the neighboring plot plans. If I could get a copy of those, I'd give those to the surveyor, because in looking at my information, I don't have that, and I think it would be of assistance to the survey company. And it's our impression, my client's impression, that the neighbor's fence encroaches about 6 inches. The neighbors to the right have a pool, so you have to have your backyard fenced, and it would appear that that fence encroaches 6 inches onto my client's property, and the survey would confirm that, and then it might be a different dimension as to the variance request.
Thank you. Anything from the board to the petitioner at this time? Any questions, comments?
Not at this time.
That's fine.
I guess this question would probably be for Mr. Box. If we were to decide to not table and we made a and they withdrew their petition, would they have to pay again in the future to repetition?
That's correct.
Okay.
Right.
That's-
Okay. Any other comments at this time? Any other possible motions from the board?
I would actually make a motion to table it, given the fact that I don't think this resident should have to pay the fee again to resubmit. So, but my motion would be to table for the next meeting.
Beat me to it. I will support that. I was going to say for that same reason. Yeah.
So we have a motion on the table by Mr. DeBruin to table to the next regular ZBA meeting, seconded by Mr. Piper. Josh, I do have one question. Do you know if we have a meeting in November?
I believe we do have one item, yes.
Okay.
And obviously, if this is tabled, then we would definitely have a meeting.
I think, obviously, I don't think we can make the determination if it's going to be in November quite yet, as long as you communicate. Because if we do have no other items, I think the stance of that township would be to postpone
Well,
until December.
If we would need you to table or postpone this to a specific meeting, otherwise I have to advertise in the newspaper all over again, and there may not be time to get it in November.
So that's kind of why my motion was for the next meeting. So let me clarify what I mean by next meeting. The next meeting we would normally have that has another issue on it than this one before
It's
us.
got to be to a specific meeting.
Then I would have to do it to the November meeting.
Okay. So,
And I think that's November 7th, correct?
That's correct.
Mr. Piper, you're fine with that motion?
Yes.
Okay. So the motion is to table this item until the November 7th regular ZBA meeting. Is there any other comments or concerns from the board? All right. All those signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those against, say nay. That motion passes. We will
Thank
see
you.
you in November. All right, next up is item 7B. This is a variance of section 14-26D1A. Request to allow an 8-foot privacy fence when a 6-foot height is permitted. Is the applicant or petitioner in the crowd today?
I don't believe so.
I don't see them. Josh, if you could take us through this one. I believe this was on a previous agenda as well, but we didn't really speak about it.
That's correct. We didn't hear this one before. It was on the September agenda, and they had an event for their children at school, so they asked for it to be tabled to October. I'm not sure why they're not here this evening. They were aware that it's this evening. That being said, I will go through it. This is a property just off Card Road, between Hall Road and 21 Mile, as you see in the image behind you. And the variance is requesting to allow a portion of their privacy fence to remain as constructed with a height of 8 feet. So currently, the township limits privacy fences to 6 feet. They went ahead and put a portion of it up to 8 feet. As you see here, the area, if you can see my cursor, the area in pink is where they have expanded it up to 8 feet. They had some concerns that the neighbor's property, their patio in particular, sits very high and could see right over their 6-foot privacy fence, so they felt the need to raise it to 8 feet, which is what they're asking for this evening. You see the picture here, the panels that they have added to that. They do have a pool themselves. Their neighbor also has a pool, and they wanted a little bit more privacy. Assessing had no objection. Building indicated the increase of the maximum height does not create any building code issues. Engineering indicated no engineering-related concerns are posed. Fire and Public Works had no comments, no objections. And much like the last item, Melissa indicated that it doesn't appear that there's any unique physical characteristics. It's not burdened by any easements or drains or floodplain. It's a pretty standard shaped lot. So therefore, no practical difficulty has been demonstrated, and we would defer to the applicant to identify a practical difficulty. Otherwise, it would be providing the applicant with a greater relief than the property owners in the same district. So with that, staff cannot support this until the applicant can provide evidence of a practical difficulty.
Thank you, Mr. Box. Is there any questions or comments for Mr. Box?
I have one quick question. Mr. Box, could they have put a partition like inside their fence to get the privacy and still be within an ordinance without adding that height extension?
I guess I don't understand what you mean by a
Could they
partition.
have put like a portable, just a little portable partition up that they could use for privacy?
Well, we don't allow double fences,
Right.
so it wouldn't be, a double fence would not be allowed. You said portable, I guess.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's like around their pool, could they have something higher that, you know, privacy type partition instead of a fence to,
Again, all the limits are 6 feet, so
It's still
it wouldn't be any higher than 6 feet.
okay. Yeah.
They could plant some landscaping and things in that area.
That's
to
correct.
buffer. That would be allowed under. Any other comments or concerns? I'll ask again if the applicant is in the crowd, if they want to come up and speak on this item. I don't see them. I'll also open the public hearing at 6:48 to hear any public. There is none as well, so we'll close the public hearing at 6:48. Looking at the information, personally, I looked at it. I don't see any practical difficulty here. I don't see anything unique or anything reason why this would be approved, in my opinion. That being said, if anybody else has any other questions or comments, or would like
I
to
would
make a
like to
motion?
add, I was hoping the applicant would be here, that they could provide some form of practical difficulty, because in reading their application, I feel their plight. I was hoping they could give us something that we could hang our hat on, but I do not see a practical difficulty either. Yeah.
Any motions?
Based on the information that we have before us, I would make a motion to deny the variance because it does not appear to be a practical difficulty with this property to meet the ordinance.
So
I'll
motion-
second.
Okay, motion to deny the variance request by Mr. Piper, seconded by Mr. Kamikia. Any other comments or concerns at this time? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed by saying nay. That motion carries and that variance is denied. Next up is new business. We do not have any new business this evening. We'll move on to public comments. Please step up to the podium, say your name and address for the record. You have 4 minutes if you'd like to speak. Again, no public speaking tonight, so we will move on to ZBA member comments, if anybody has any comments tonight.
One quick one. I'm part of the Friends of Macomb Township Foundation, and we do our monthly bottle and can drives. Our last one is coming up on the 4th Sunday of this month. I believe it's the 27th, so if any residents want to donate their bottles and cans, we do it right in the parking lot for Glen Peters School. Our organization this year gave away 10 $1,000 scholarships to Macomb Township students, and we also were able to donate $4,000 to the Glenn Peters School. And most of our funding comes from these bottle and can drives, so I would appreciate any donations people would like to give us. We'll be there on the 27th from 11 in the morning to 1:30 in the afternoon, so.
Sounds good. Any other ZBA comments tonight? All right, hearing none, we'll go to planning director comments.
Nothing this evening.
Thank you. Attorney comments?
Nothing further.
All right, thank you. Having no comments, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, Mr. Bruin. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Seconded by Mr. Mazzara. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 All those opposed by saying nay. That motion carries, and we are adjourned at 6:50.